Phoenix ascends, we're flying high, keep laying hand, reaching for the sky. Death loops ticking, but he won't stop. Mega Man's power.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Phoenix Ascends Gaming and to another blazing installment of First Flame Features, your spark for what's worth playing next without waiting for a full review. And today, we're stepping into something chilling and brutal, and to an experience that feels like classic Resident Evil terror wrapped in modern cinematic muscle. Because Resident Evil 9 Requiem, this game feels like Capcom dug up the franchise's darkest roots, polished them with next-gen tech, and said, let's remind them why they were scared in the first place. I've been playing through the opening hours, and wow, this game is intense, atmospheric, and absolutely relentless in the best possible way. Resident Evil Requiem drops you into the shoes of Grace Ashcroft, a sharp and methodical FBI analyst who is tasked with investigating a mysterious death at the Wrenwood Hotel, a location she has personal history with. And stepping into the nightmare with her is none other than Leon S. Kennedy, older, more world-weary, but still the same unshakable survivor who's seen more outbreaks than anyone should in a lifetime. From the moment you arrive, the tone hits you like a punch to the chest. Empty rooms, abandoned hallways, shadows that move a little too naturally. It's classic Resident Evil dread, but with the modern, cinematic edge. The environments drip with atmosphere, collapsed storefronts, overgrown trails, blood-smeared safe rooms, and underground labs that feel like they were evacuated mid-scream. Every corner feels like a warning. Let's discuss gameplay, because Requiem is doing some really interesting things. Movement is grounded and deliberate, but smoother than the older titles. Grace is slow and tactical, leaning into her FBI training with precision and investigative tools that appeal to a classic survival horror archetype, similar to Resident Evil 7. Leon, on the other hand, is more combat-focused and brings that veteran confidence that only comes from surviving Raccoon City, Tall Oaks, and everything in between. In short, if you love the combat from Resident Evil 4 Remake, you're going to love Leon's sections, and you'll feel like you're picking up right where you left off. Combat is tense and punishing in that signature Resident Evil way that can be unpredictable. Even basic infected could overwhelm you if you get sloppy, and the new mutations, they're fast, grotesque, and deeply unsettling. Exploration is classic Resident Evil. Locked doors, hidden shortcuts, multi-layered puzzles, and environmental storytelling everywhere. Grace's investigative background lets her analyze crime scenes, decode patterns, and uncover hidden routes. Leon's field expertise opens alternative paths and combat solutions in innovative ways. Resident Evil 9 leans heavily into psychological horror. Grace is a fantastic new lead, sharp, determined, and clearly carrying emotional scars from her past. Leon acts as her anchor and her foil, bringing experience, dry humor, and that classic Kennedy stubbornness. Their dynamic is one of the game's strongest elements. It's not excessively jokey, but it's not relentlessly bleak either. There's tension, banter, and moments of genuine humanity that makes the horror hit even harder. Other characters you meet along the way feel desperate, flawed, and unpredictable. Some want help. Some want to use you. Some you probably should not trust. Visually, Resident Evil Requiem is stunning and horrifying in equal measure. The Resident Evil engine is doing some of its best work yet, and features hyper-detailed environments, dynamic lighting that makes every shadow feel alive, weather effects that shift the mood instantly, and creature designs that are grotesque, imaginative, and deeply uncomfortable. The game runs beautifully on the PS5, smooth frame rate, crisp textures, and no noticeable stutters in my time with it. The sound design is equally impressive. Distant screams, rattling vents, dripping pipes. It all builds that constant sense of dread as it pressed me at every turn. So, after spending time with Resident Evil 9, here's what I think thus far. The atmosphere is thick, oppressive, and incredibly immersive. Grace and Leon make a fantastic dual protagonist. Combat is intense, deliberate, and brutally satisfying. Exploration is meaningful, rewarding, and full of secrets. The writing leans into psychological horror without losing the series' identity. And the visual and sound design elevate every moment. But, and this is important, the game doesn't always blend its strengths seamlessly. Grace's FBI sections are slower, more methodical, and sometimes feel stretched out longer than they need to be. Meanwhile, Leon's high-intensity Resident Evil 4 style segments are so sharp and compelling they're almost over as soon as they begin. The result is a bit of tonal whiplash, like you're playing two different games stitched together, each great on its own, but not always in harmony. It's still gripping, still atmospheric, still full of that Resident Evil DNA, but the pacing between the two protagonists isn't always balanced, and my initial hours suffered a bit as a result. So, do I recommend checking out Resident Evil 9 Requiem? If you're a fan of survival horror, atmospheric storytelling, or the Resident Evil franchise in general, yes, I do. Just go in knowing what you're getting. A game with two very different gameplay identities. Grace's segments lean heavily into slow burn tension, investigation, and psychological dread. Leon's segments are tight, punchy, and action forward, and honestly, some of the best moments in the game. The issue is that the pacing between them isn't always even. Grace's chapters feel drawn out, while Leon's are so good, you wish they lasted twice as long. If you're okay with that imbalance, or you like the idea of a survival horror experience that swings between two extremes, then Resident Evil 9 is absolutely worth your time, and you will enjoy it. It's not trying to be the most massive thing you've ever played. It's trying to be tense, intimate, and memorable. And even with its uneven pacing, it succeeds much more often than it stumbles. As always, you guys are incredible, and I genuinely appreciate you watching. If you enjoy this type of content, leave a like, and I'd love to earn your subscription. Stay tuned for more First Flame features, long-form reviews, and weekly live streams. I hope that you have an incredibly blessed week, and as always, keep ascending. Phoenix out.
Phoenix ascends, we're flying